Hey, what's up, guys? This is your boy Jacob Vanscoy here. This video I want to talk about and to touch the base with the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. And in this video, we are going to be talking about The Last Jedi, as anyone else has been talking about for the past couple years. And I just want to say, on a personal note, I totally agree with these two gentlemen that I have been watching for, especially Mike Zero. Mike Zero, I've been watching your channel for over a year. When you started talking about the Rise of Skywalker before it actually came out, because I wanted to hear some hype about it, right? Because I was so hyped to think that the Rise of Skywalker was going to be a better film. I mean, granted, it was a better film than The Last Jedi. I'm going to get to that here in just a second. And Star Wars Theory. I've been watching your channel for quite some time, but not as much as Mike Zero. And I totally if I had known about you a little before their theory, I would probably watch your channel as about as good of amount as Mike Zero. So anyway, let's get into the topic here. So when it came to The Last Jedi, guys, as well as my friends and family that saw this movie, it was horrible. It was a horrible film. And God, dude, it was just so awful, to where it all started when Luke tossed his family lightsaber off that cliff. And I knew deep down that there was something wrong with that. And throughout the entirety of the film, until the very end of the film, was Luke. And Luke, to me, Luke acted like a girl. And to an extent, with everybody else, some of you may say, oh, The Last Jedi was a great film. And I'm going to say to those fans that liked The Last Jedi, there has got to be something in your brain or something in your body to say where I'm basically calling you out, and I'm saying you're an idiot. You're an idiot to think that The Last Jedi was a great film. And I'm not just saying that towards people saying that it was a great film. I'm saying that towards Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson. What the hell were you two thinking? What were you thinking? And you could say and make the argument to where George is also partially blamed for this, because he went up to Kathleen, but I'm going to defend George on this here, guys. George, he had no idea that this was going to happen, as well as anybody else. He had no idea. But Kathleen Kennedy betrayed the Star Wars community. She betrayed George Lucas. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm all the way in with Mike Zero saying that Kathleen Kennedy is very incompetent. She's not a very good leader, and she's just doing this for her own agenda. And I also agree with the, speaking of which, and we'll get to this here in a second. Yeah, with her hiring Rian Johnson to do a Star Wars film, that was probably the biggest, dumbest idea that a president of a iconic franchise and brand like Disney and Lucasfilms, aka Star Wars, to do so. You bring in a rookie director. And I'm going to use what Sam Witwer said about Rian Johnson. And he's right. Rian Johnson did not do his homework on Star Wars. Rian Johnson should have done better. He should have treated the character of Luke Skywalker a lot better. There was a lot of things with The Last Jedi that I hated and despised the most. The one thing I despised the most about The Last Jedi was the design and look of Yoda. What was that? Yoda looked like a puppet. An ugly puppet. The other versions of Yoda that you got to see in the previous films were CGI, and that looked way, way better, guys. I'm telling you, that looked way better. The CGI looked way better. Excuse this here, guys. I got knocked hit by a dodgeball, so that's why one tooth is normal and the other is broken, pretty much. And I haven't gotten a chance to get fixed. So, back to the topic at hand. And then there was when Luke, in his flashback, was about to kill his own nephew. What was that all about? Everything about Luke Skywalker. To where he's tossing the lightsaber like this off the cliff, to where he refuses to train Rey until he hears the message that his sister sent to Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope, right? That's what changed, pretty much a little bit changed Luke's mind to train Rey to become a Jedi. And another thing I did notice that Mike Zero spoke of was Rey and her Force bond talking to Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo. And they're talking, and then it leads to a moment where Kylo Ren's shirtless, and she's like, "Do you have a towel or something you can put on to cover yourself?" Or something like that. I would have to go back and watch it again, even though it's a terrible film. And I really despised it. I think it's probably the worst Star Wars film out of any generation. My generation, previous generation. It's the worst Star Wars film of all time. Yeah, granted, it did do good results from the critics in the box office. But people still despise this movie. And Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson destroyed Mark Hamill's character as Luke Skywalker. And there were people that told them not to do that. And they still did it. The film was not basically going towards Star Wars, in my opinion, and the way I viewed Star Wars The Last Jedi. It was just leaning towards identity politics and personal agendas. That's not what Star Wars is all about. That's not what Star Wars is all about. As Mike Zero has explained from his videos that I've watched on his channel, and Star Wars Theory, granted to them, that Star Wars is all about family. It's about sci-fi fiction. It's you gotta go to the consistent story of Star Wars. And that's what The Last Jedi did not do. And J.J. Abrams, George Lucas, Mark Hamill went up to Rian Johnson and said, "Hey, this is not my character. You need to change this." And lo and behold, that did not happen. Rian Johnson was dumb enough to listen to Kathleen Kennedy, who should have been removed back in 2017 as the president of Lucasfilm, and should have been replaced by that. And I'm taking a shot right now at Bob Iger, and I'm saying right now, you're doing a good job there, Mr. Iger, about correcting your mistake. I give you that. But you're the one that approved all this. You are the one who approved all this. And why would you do this? And like I said before, granted, You are making up for your mistake, and you cut off Kathleen Kennedy. I'm happy about that, as any other Star Wars fan should be happy about that. And I'm not saying about Kathleen Kennedy and Ron Johnson. I'm not saying that they're bad people. That's not what I'm saying. I want to make that perfectly clear here and now, guys. I'm not saying that at all. I just think that they're a bad business for Star Wars. And I will say this to Disney and Lucasfilm, if they're listening. You had better not have somebody that is related to Kathleen Kennedy become the president of Lucasfilm. You should look towards Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. You should look at those two. Those are two perfect fits for Star Wars. But anyway, here nor there, guys. I'm not going to keep you here for much longer. So I just wanted to get based into the base of Star Wars, The Last Jedi, everything. And last thing, I just want to touch base here on The Last Jedi here, guys, before moving on to the next video, is that the city of Canto Bight, you really had to put that in the film? And the thing I have been critical about the sequel trilogy, as well as anybody else that is a Star Wars fan, is it was just not touching base to the main characters, the Skywalkers, as it should have been. It was all focused on Rey, who was basically a nobody. And in the next video, we'll get touching base on Rey here in the next video. So I appreciate your time here, guys. I don't want to keep you guys here for long. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.